looking cool. With Karina.
This legend, just came from my idea of just wanting to be able to chase an urban myth. But in a way,
you find yourself writing around something, and then you realize you have to write through it, and it's painful. My husband has to call upstairs sometimes when I'm working, and he goes, "Are you actually sad, or are you writing?" When you're crying, no, you're just writing. It's okay.
So then my friend and I were like, we have to go by next year. She's so fun.
Nos enfocamos en muchos temas comunitarios, desde el lado del entretenimiento, desde el lado del deporte o desde el lado de temas de migración. Así que
Jessica Salgado, a poet who writes about culture, her city, her family, her body, with so much style, with so much grace. And poets Carla Cordero, Matthew Cuban Hernandez, Sonia Guyanesca, please welcome them to the stage.
Sorry about that. Tenía muy grosos los lentes. ¿Cómo estamos? How are we doing? This is not going to work for me. Como que si comieron frijoles hoy en la mañana. ¿Cómo estamos? How are we doing? Much better. I am so excited to be here with you all. Delos hit me up a few months ago if I was down to curate a poetry series for them. Y como siempre, pues dije que sí, and I brought some of my, not only friends of mine, but some of my favorite poets, not only because of the poetry they write, but who they are as people. So please give it up for Matthew, Sonia, and Carla. What's up, homies? How are you doing?
Hey.
So I know we're it's fancy, and it's the LA Times, and we got brought around in a golf cart, and there's a bunch of people fussing over us. But I want the conversation to feel as natural and comfortable as possible. So that being said, my notes are on my phone.
Period.
Because technology. So I am going to start with, first of all, thanking Delos for not only having us here, but for platforming poetry, which is really, really important, especially during these times. Poetry is not only an art form, it's not only something pretty that we read, but it's also a reflection of ourselves. I'm a strong believer that we all come to poetry searching for ourselves, looking for a connection with other folks, and I feel like the poets we have gathered today do excellent jobs of being mirrors for their audience and beyond. So we're gonna get to know them a little bit more. Word?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and read your bios a little bit so that people can know the badasses that you are. So Carla Cordero is a Chicana storyteller, educator, and author of the poetry collection How to Pull Apart the Earth. She's the winner of the San Diego Book Award and an International Latino Book Award finalist. She has received the Courage to Write grant from the Group Foundation and is a California Arts Fellow. Cordero serves as executive director for the arts nonprofit Glassless Minds and teaches creative writing at Miracosta College and San Diego City College. She's a chingona. Sonia Guyanesca, I did it right, is an internationally acclaimed poet and cultural strategist with over 17 years of experience in movement and cultural organizing. So you started as a baby, because you're only 18.
I'm only 18, everyone. Queer age.
You've been organizing from the womb, beginning their career as part of the first wave of young people to publicly come out as undocumented. They helped build some of the largest undocumented organizations in the US and co-founded artistic projects by and for undocumented artists. Their debut self-published poetry book, Nostalgia and Borders, was recently translated into Quechua and Spanish by Severo Editorial as Nostalgia y Fronteras. They co-edited the award-winning anthology Somewhere We Are Human, Authentic Voices on Migration, Survival, and New Beginnings. And then we have Matthew. Matthew Cuban Hernandez is a poet, MC, speaker, actor, and my brother. He is also a performance coach from Jacksonville, Florida, a teaching artist for more than 15 years. Matthew has spent the last 10 years working in youth detention centers across Los Angeles County, currently serving as the director of camp programming for Street Poets Incorporated. In addition, he is a lead teacher and co-founder of Spoken Literature Art Movement. Cuban is the author of the poetry collections 3032 and All Brown Boys Get Trumpets, which recently received honorable mention for the Juan Felipe Herrera Best Poetry Award at the International Latino Book Awards. And you all know me, I'm Jessica. Born and raised in LA. Any Salvadoreños in the house? Órale, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna start.
Saka Kicho Kanyari. I think for me, when I was thinking about when we got the prompt about sovereignty, the first thoughts that were coming up to my mind is the way that powers to be nation states think about geography and land in this very extractive and very violent. And this was during the time I was like writing the poem and thinking about like the latest like attacks and wars on the people of Iran. I was thinking about Palestine. I was thinking about all the violence that are being inflicted in every corner of LA after our street vendors, our car washers. I was thinking about this idea of like conquering and how our communities are like communities of color, oppressed people everywhere globally. Like even if they're trying to conquer and inscribe something about who we are, like we turn that around. I'm like, no, like here you go. You can take the globe, you can design an actual globe about, you know, these like states and these countries, but you're not taking our people, you're not taking our memory, you're not taking our language, you're not taking who we are. Even if we're displaced from our homelands, like we're still here. And so that was like where I went with that poem. I wanted it to be light and unfortunately, you know, as poets, we are a moral compass to what is happening. We're reflecting the current times, and that was what was in my mind.
That was beautiful, and all three of the poems were so gorgeous. I also contributed a poem to the series, and mine was named Blood Right, and I chose to speak about gentrification, which the poem speaks about that, about how my Los Angeles, I was born and raised in Silver Lake, I've lived there my whole life, so I've seen it go from being a Latina neighborhood to like an extension of what's Hollywood is what it feels like, right? And so the notion of my poem was that you cannot take what is ours. And I know many of us are migrants and we think that the city is not ours, but we've contributed so much blood, sweat, and tears to these streets that it belongs to us as much as anybody else. And so, yes, thank you, baby. We have our fifth panelist here with us. But land in your work, right? But on top of that, you are a professor at Miracosta and San Diego City College, and you run an open mic, Glassless Mayans in Oceanside. So how has having all of these positions and also being someone of the borderland, how has that allowed you to create space for writers that live in those gray areas?
That's a great question. So I think I want to start from the area of when we think about borderlands, we think of the in-betweenness. Me and Jessica talk about borderlands all the time. The borderlands of the messiness of dating, the borderlands of our bodies when they fail us, the borderlands of navigating the publishing industry, the borderlands of navigating academic spaces. And so I say that to say that the borderlands is not just a monolithic concept. Everyone has a different experience about the borderlands, what it means to be in-betweenness. So my narrative starts with growing up in the border of Calexico, the very tip end of California, which borders Mexicali, Mexico. And so growing up, you learn the tangibleness of the border, that it is not just a line that divides communities, but it is a symbol of separation. It is a symbol of celebration, it is a symbol of connectiveness, and a symbol of how our people continue to persevere despite those imaginary and tangible borders. And so going into these roles of leadership, whether it's a nonprofit or teaching, is then acknowledging that other people are coming into the classrooms, into these events, into these open mics with their own version of in-betweenness. How many of us struggle with that back and forth of, am I American enough? Am I Chicana enough? Latina enough? Indigenous enough? And questions of that. And so how do you serve these communities knowing that people are coming into these spaces with this in-betweenness. And so the conversation is then, how do we bring poetry into the space that serves these different needs? To think about poetry from the wonderful literary godmother, Audre Lorde, she says that poetry is the language and vehicle that leads us to individual and communal freedom. How do we get to that freedom? How can poetry come into these spaces and do a couple things? One, be a mirror reflection, so people can see themselves in the poetry that's being expressed, shared, written about, bringing in guest speakers that can also offer that mirror reflection. Thinking about another way about how poetry can feel like home, a place that can feel safe where people can be in conversation with each other in the name of poetry. And then more importantly, how can poetry be a window? The development, the continuous development of that allyship for people to also have that open awareness of the different narratives that exist. And so I think once you can establish these kinds of things, you can bring different resources into the space. We not only do an open mic once a month.
Here, like what are the first steps that you might take working with youth specifically in introducing these mediums?
So step one, and thank you for the question, and let's definitely connect. Step one is not only share the poem, but be a resource to your community and say, come to the open mic, come to these different events. And so we take the $5 budget and we make it into $1 million events. And so what we do is we go and do pop-up poetry events at places you wouldn't expect it. Like I said, the LGBTQ Center, Immigration Services. We do a lot of work with the unhoused community, and we go to these different events to let people know that their stories matter and that writing it down and documenting matter. And so with our youth, it's about entering classrooms and letting them know we exist, and then bringing them out to the community, because a lot of times poetry feels very academic, very elitist, and they're not teaching our stories inside of those classrooms. So where are they going to get that education? Out in the community where the artists are doing the work. And so our job is to continue to be resources to let our people know that we exist, the events exist, come out and nurture and support them, and continue to invite them to come back and nurture their voice in that process.
Thank you so much. Matt, did you want to add
Yeah, I was
something to
going to say, you know, I, especially with getting young folks to write poetry, and getting anybody to write poetry, really, because everybody's got a poem in there. Every single one of you have a really beautiful story to tell. And you are already someone's favorite poet. They don't care about anybody up here. They want to hear your work. I guarantee you, each and every one of you have someone who would much rather hear that you talk about your story than any one of us. So letting them know they all have a story to tell, right? And meeting them where they are, right? Like sometimes a poem can be just a haiku. Sometimes a poem can be just, I'm tired today. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's dig into this. Meeting them where they are, letting them know, hey, there's poetry in every aspect of it. Like, I understand all the wild stuff you might be listening to, but maybe there's good stuff in that too, right? I try not to yuck their young, but giving them an entryway to know that, listen, there's a lot of ways that you can tell your story. There's a lot of ways that you can find your poetry, and someone really needs to hear it, and it might be you. So that's kind of how I try to work with young folk, but yeah.
Yes, so they're going.
Yeah, I would also like to add that the way that I want to answer that is like rethinking how we think poetry should exist in our communities, because it's not absent, it already exists. They're storytellers. It may not look like what the literary spaces may tell us that poems should look like, but our grandmas, when they're telling their stories to us, different types of oral like conversations, that is storytelling too, that's poetry, there's creativity, there's culture there. Oftentimes we think that there's an absence of cultural arts or things happening in our communities, but they're there. It's just that it doesn't mirror what we've been taught to think that that's valid or that's real. And so I would just like reshift that a little bit and see what's already happening. Maybe it's a gathering of like elders or grandmas and they're telling their stories. That's art too, that's culture, that's storytelling. And so just like a nudge to like kind of rethink that. There's no absence.
Such beautiful answers. Oh, community for over a decade, and we've been through all kinds of weird, wild stuff together. But our friends and I have a group called the Dead Parents Club, and all of us have, and everybody's always just like, ugh, but it's really, really comforting. And we've all lost a parent. Some of us have lost both parents. But we have a group chat where we text each other whenever big life things happen or something brings up the grief. And so that's how we looked at each other and we're like, we know this so well. So go ahead, Matt.
I mean, number one, I'm so sorry for your loss. Grief changes you fundamentally. I feel like it changed. Like, I lost my mother. I've lost like my sister, rest in peace, Tanya Ingram. I've lost beautiful friends, rest in peace, Aziza Barnes. You know, just so many people who've meant so much to me in my life. And I think that for me, I try to be like, I try to say time well spent. Like, if I do something relatively, like if I eat a salad, I'm like, time well spent, you know? If I do some push-ups, time well spent. If I write a poem, time well spent. But I think that there has to be a place to put some of this, right? Because you're holding it. For me, I had to find a place to put it. I'm holding it 24/7. It's like, I might not think about it all day, and then like 2 seconds before I go to sleep, my brain's like, hey, remember all this that you've been trying to avoid? And grief is heavy like that, right? But I've learned that from it, the relationship with that person can still evolve and still grow in so many ways. Like, and it's wild to think about now. My mother passed away 9 years ago this month, right? And so for me, it's crazy to think my relationship with her has still grown. Like, I'm closer to her now than I ever was when we were alive in so many beautiful ways. And I think, like, being purposeful in how I move and how I live, and just, you know, trying to light a candle for her every day. These little practices are things that help me process and go through my grief. But there's one quote when writing about it, because sometimes it's difficult to write about it, and I've been staring at this quote since we started this panel, but it's by a good friend of mine named Aja Monet, that says, whatever's stopping you from writing the poem is the poem. And so sometimes that's part of the process too.
Beautiful, thank you, Matt. And I also want to add that for me, in losing my father, and then also our dear sister Tanya Ingram, who is a phenomenal poet, please look her up. We lost her a couple of years ago, and we didn't lose her. She transitioned a couple of years ago. She's still with us. But I've learned that my grief has given me an abundance of love, because I know what it's like to hold something so precious to you, and to then have it not leave you, but have it transcend to where your love now has to learn to go beyond the physical and the tangible, and to be in constant communication with the beyond. And my poetry is a constant conversation with my father, with my loved ones, but not even that, but with my ancestors, right? And with the people beyond that. Poetry is ancestral. It comes from our people, but just because I learned that my maternal grandparents were illiterate, didn't know how to read or write. But I'm like, I was born a poet. So that means that they must have been poets too. And that is my language with them. What I inherited from them comes through to the words and allows me to keep speaking with them. Did you all want to add anything to that?
Yes, I'm in my grief right now, and just to keep it short, I think there's also like that, given that space that you don't have to create anything, like you don't have to produce, not put in that pressure, like it's okay. I'm sitting with my grief, I'm a poet, and I haven't written poems about certain things, and that's okay. And so just like sitting with grief can look like whatever for you. It can look like collecting extra plushies, because that reminds something, or putting photos everywhere. In every apartment, in every home that I go to, I have my grandparents, you know, and I wasn't able to go back to my homeland before they passed away. So they're everywhere. All my poems is my grandparents. And so it's just like, it's okay. It can look like photography, it can look like that. And we don't have to put that pressure, okay, now I have to write a book about this, or now I have to produce to give it meaning. Like, it's okay. It's just interpersonal and private, and that's okay too.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you.
And I'll just quickly add, and we all grieve. Everyone's going through something right now. That grief is telling you that something is absent, and it's forcing you to remember. And if we can channel the remembering as a form of celebration, it's your body saying, I don't want you to forget. Feel the tears, feel the ache. That's the memory, that it doesn't want you to leave, and it doesn't want you to forget. And so, as someone that lives with chronic pain daily, as someone who has seen family members been deported recently, the only thing that has been working for me and my family is thinking about gratitude and seeing the joy, you know, seeing the butterfly and saying, that's a nice ass butterfly. And thinking about the journey that butterfly went through as a caterpillar, as a cocoon, to do the whole journey, right? That whole metaphor that we see as poets, these little microcosms of the world. Look for your joy, and the gratitude will feed you and continue to nurture that grief. So And my condolences.
Yes, thank you so much for that beautiful question.
Delos, how y'all doing? Remember, y'all won the lottery. Let's keep that. Y'all, thank you so much. I came all the way from San Diego. Born and raised in Calexico, California, which borders Mexicali, Mexico. And I want to meet you. Please come say hi and hello. We'll be at the booth signing. I'm going to just read one poem today. If I can leave you with one poem. As we talked in the panel, one of the most important roles as a poet, as a writer, is to archive and to create visibility for our people. And if I can leave you anything, a little sliver of my hometown Calexico, I would love to read that to you. And if anything resonates with you in this piece, make a lot of noise. I want to hear you through these lines, and continue to make noise for the phenomenal lineup you're about to see. Can y'all promise me that? All right, let's do this poem together. Calexico. My people speak through hard work, because my people know how to shape shift in the name of survival, surviving in the shape of essential workers, custodians, educators, street vendors, farm workers, florists, mothers with careers holding babies at the hips, fathers with tired backs and overtime, work that speaks in the shape of housekeepers, landscapers, waitresses, and cooks, first generation students, first time DACA students, first time trying to make it in this brown skin to be your future lawyer, your soon to be doctor, your dream big and dare yourself to dream bigger, because my people dream big. With pride and sacrifice on the tongue, with Spanish in the mouth, with perfect and not so perfect English, with Spanglish and accents that dangle our culture from the ends of our teeth, so we can translate the world to our loved ones who have worked so hard to keep us here, to give us this life so full of language, because my people know how language can keep our babies alive, with more blood in our bodies than ghosts in our hearts, because my people know about ghosts, know about loss and grief and borders made of metal and fence and broken land and broken justice. My people know a president's insult, know Tule Coyotes, know the familiarity with thirst. My people are made in God's image, and how this world can push my people to know God too soon. When news channels and media be dressing our bodies as graveyards, stripping us of our names, stripping us away from our families. How my people have lost count, and see more John Does ghosting this land, caught between American dreamer and indigenous footstep. So my people know how to keep us full. We know how to be a kitchen. We know how to invite a stranger to the dinner table and call them familia. And the hands of brown women labor the recipes from abuelas who know how to make every meal taste like this came from magic. From years of practice, tired elbows, burnt pots, laughter, broken hearts, reclaimed history, prayer, because my people feed our bodies with prayer, made with maize and beans, summoned by the spices that have kept us alive. So my people know about healing, know how to be a door to a church, how we burn our candles and stained glass our saints, push our rosaries to the fullest potential, because we are people who don't break easy. We stand like mountains, sing our faith with two tongues, with fresh cut marigolds, offer pan dulce to our loved ones who are no longer able to kiss our cheeks, because my people start and end our sentences with si Dios quiere, because if God wills it, we are the scars and the stories of how we chose breath, how after this earth quakes and my people just dance and dance without surrender, because our ancestors made it this far to keep us here. So let us dance and keep our feet moving, keep our feet rooted in the land, blooming our beautiful faces in this country, because we are here to stay, to thrive today, tomorrow, and the next. Let us thank you so much.
Hey everybody, if you're feeling good, say yeah. If you're feeling really good and you don't care what knows about it, say hell yeah. When I say spoken, y'all say word. Spoken. Spoken. When I say poetry's good, y'all say all the time. Poetry's good?
All the time.
And all the time?
Poetry's good.
Okay, okay. A lot of y'all not going to church, it's okay. We're here today now together. Please, can we give another round of applause for Carla? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna read a poem I've been writing a lot. I've been writing a lot with my students. It's really my happy place. Some of my students, though, I keep talking about them a lot, but I think a few of them are using ChatGPT in their poems. I can't tell for sure. But the homie, he's like really passionate about it. He's always like, Mister, I got a poem. And I'm like, all right, spit your poem. But then he'll say like, nevermore or fare thee well. And I'm like, that's not how you talk, bro. Like, you don't say those things. But I've been reading a lot and showing them a lot of this really incredible poet that's been really just coming up a lot in my life now, especially in today's age. This incredible poet named June Jordan. Have you ever heard of June Jordan? Well, if you haven't heard of June Jordan, I strongly recommend you look up her work. She's an incredible, brilliant poet and activist, and this poem is after her. Want to hear it? Yeah! Here we go. Oh, and this poem is not in my book. It's in my phone, but for pictures, I wanted to look cool, so I stole that joke from my wife. Shout out to Alicia. Okay. I must become a menace to my enemies. So I must become a dream, someone who inspires to become a leader, someone who can be accountable to everyone's growth, everyone's dream, their hope to one day see tangible. I have to become a staple, a bridge, a builder, a change maker, a voice to silence, a hand on the back of progress. I must become an open door, or nothing at all. If all I can do is give space, I must hold safety by standing at the door, by being the door, by being more than what I learned, more than what I don't always understand, and still allow myself to be wrong. I don't always know what I want for myself, except for to be enough for everyone else. A fantasy must become the work. I must become the sacrifice. I want to be the deny I myself, the thing that I let myself go for what I need. I must become better for the people I love. And if you hate the way we exist, then I plan to give you all the reasons. I plan to be the fear and the anger you gaslight. I plan to be your sorry excuses for genocide. I plan to be your disregard for life. Your apathy for children will become an eruption, a resonance, a resignation, a reset. I plan to be your stress and your menace. I plan to give you anxiety and doubt and all the things you take from homes and safety and joy. I plan to take when you have taken generations. I plan to become a tool to thaw your humanity, a spark that will shape a revolution. I must become more trouble than your plans are worth. I must become worth more than your vehicles, more than your disposable income, because I must be worth your time, so that I must be worth your change. I plan to bloom like a cloud or an earthquake. I plan on loving so much you wonder if you've ever seen color before. I plan on making no plans other than the ones that involve my homies and dinner and walking and laughing, and I don't plan on letting you off the hook either, or forgetting or forgiving. We've moved past conversations or resignation. Where is your head? I plan on watching you sleep in that bed you made, perfect for whatever karma calls that self its day. The demons slip from this life, and if they ever let truth silence itself to power, if my words ever become poison of misinterpretation, then let my poetry be nothing more than kindling. Make my words a bonfire as big as a city. Turn downtown into a lighthouse. Burn the banks and the Targets and the malls and the empty skyscrapers. Shadowing Skid Row like buzzards. I must become the wind, a gust of heat turning itself hurricane. I must wrap myself in these flames. I must become so big they can only see me terrible until you zoom out. And I've become a god so clear you'd be a liar to deny how beautiful I am. Thank you.
I came in with a set of poems that I was going to share, and that it drastically changed after Carolina Avenue. So this is America Runs for Immigrants. Do I have any migrant people in the house? children of immigrants? Yes? Isn't it ridiculous all the bullshit talking points politicians use to pin us against each other, right? So bullshit. It's either we're lazy or we're taking jobs, right? Which is it? So this is America Runs on Immigrants. My mother works on the 23rd floor of a glass building in the middle of Times Square as a server of a catering company. My father rides the train home from work. In his backpack, he carries a pair of Timbs with blotches of oil. Neither of them have eaten. The thing about America is that migrant workers go days without properly eating so that America can function. My mother, who goes by Maggie, will stand for 8 hours straight, bouncing on the balls of her feet to catch any demands by white professionals that for some reason, know how to work a Google Drive but have no idea how to make their own damn coffee. My father, who goes by Segundo, ironically is always first to cook, first to burn his hands, first to serve, first to deliver so that the men in suits can get the rush lunch order. My mother and father never get days off or paid holidays or bonuses or 401k or health care. My mother and father depend on the power of Vicks, hot tea, and prayers to La Virgen. Sometimes my father and mother do not feel like mine. They feel like they belong to this country. My mother does not see father. My father does not see his brother. My siblings don't see mom or dad. America sees them at all times. America sees our parents more often than we do at 4 a.m., 7 p.m., 11 p.m., and midnight. My 9-year-old brother clasps his tiny brown hands to pray. Diosito, please take care of mom. My father carries our old photos in his wallet, folded gently, not to crease our faces. This is how he looks after us. This is how he holds on to us. My mother carries a large purse with all of our documents because, just in case. They both accommodate America's routines by moving around birthdays and bautismos and weddings. America is a spoiled brat, wanting more and more and more. America screams, go back to your country. Stop stealing our jobs. And simultaneously will whine, where is my lunch? I know, there's a top point there. I will close off with a poem for my dear queer family who was in the space. Queer folks, make some noise. Mi mamá se levanta. A las 7 de la mañana se baña sus pies bendecidos en agua es divina. Después empieza con su maquillaje. Her brown hands gently holding the black eyeliner. For a migrant woman, these are lines she welcomes. She places her dark brown hair in a bun, carefully placing bobby pins, like carefully placing lipstick, like carefully placing hope on this land. Mommy's knowledge teaches me that my wings are meant to be thick, meant to take up space. These are rituals I grew up with, so I repeat every morning, creating self into existence. Between lipstick and softness, between borders and belonging, these are ways I survive, so I repeat. Arching my eyebrows, jewelry over my neck, red nails pointy enough to hold homes. Homes I am building, homes I left, so I repeat, adorning all of my genders like the gospel that was sung at my church. This becomes biblical. Let this be an ode to femmes of color whose celestial eyeshadows crack the heavens, whose thick thighs resurrect possibilities. So I repeat, what glory we incite, what glory we create, what glory we are. Thank you so much, everyone.
¿Cómo estamos? Aren't they amazing? That's it, we're done. I'm kidding. I'm gonna share a poem with y'all. Is that cool? So when I introduced the subject was sovereignty, right? And I thought about autonomy, like how we belong to ourselves and how we choose who we belong to, the people we belong to, the lands we belong to. And then in that, when I was trying to pick up the poem that I wanted to share with you all, I thought, well, yeah, I belong to myself, but there's also a lot of versions of myself that didn't get to happen. and sometimes that is a different grief, and sometimes that's a celebration. So I wrote this poem called Poet Travels the Multiverse, exploring that I'll be sharing with you all. And then afterwards, I know a lot of you are really excited and you're trying to stop us. We want to talk to you, but we're going to be over there at the booth signing books. Even if you don't get a book, you're going to get a book. Get online so you can talk to us, give us a hug, take a picture. We're here for you all, and you all are so beautiful. Thank you so much for spending time in the sun with us. Okay, ya me cayó. Poet travels the multiverse. Alternate universe. My father's kidneys never kill him. Instead, they multiply and move into hundreds of other bodies. And now, Tanya Ingram, my tia Marina, and my tío Rufino do not die. Grief is a word I swallow and never bother to relearn. Alternate universe. I am born with a uterus that doesn't spit out my children. And my oldest is now 22. My daughter is 9. My youngest is 7, and motherhood is mine at PTA meetings, after school programs, soccer practice, Christmas morning. Alternate universe. I love him, and he loves me, and it doesn't hurt, nor his breath curdle with alcohol, nor his anger block out the sun. We finally marry, and I wear a dress so white it blinds the sky. We spend the rest of our lives sleeping side by side, and I never have to worry where he's at, if he's still alive, if anyone will know to tell me the day he isn't. Alternate universe. My parents never leave El Salvador. The Civil War never happens, and my mother's hands are my mother's hands, and my mother's breast is my mother's breast, not a cancer-filled appendage, not fingers gnarled after years of cleaning white people's houses. And my father is an old man asleep in a hammock, not a box of ashes my sisters and I had to deliver back to his land of volcanoes. Alternate universe. My body never becomes a machine that betrays me. My right leg is not a water-filled log, not a nerve-filled apology, and the only sugar that runs in my veins is named love. Its cure is my niece's kiss. Its insulin is my nephew's star-filled eyes. Present universe. This universe, here, where I am a woman made of love and errors, where I can name every mistake I've ever made, every heart I've ever broken, nights where the manic pounds at my door. If I tell you that I am bipolar, you will hear that there are 2 of me, but what I'm really saying is that I am the engine of a dismantled clock. I work and work and work and work and work and work just to pass the time. I am outrunning no one but myself, but I need you to see my labor, to witness my struggle, to understand that my thoughts betray me everywhere, except on paper. I write a poem, and somewhere someone eats a mango so ripe is bursting out of its skin, the pulp of my heart staining any hands willing to hold me. I love you. 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 Did I tell you that the last thing I told my father was, I love you? Well, the last thing I told him when he was on the respirator was, it's okay to go, papi, I love you. I thought of you today at 2 p.m. I love you. I owe you an email. I love you. You should come over to watch the novela. I love you. I ran into you at the supermarket. I love you. Hand me the remote control. I love you. Let's have a cafecito. I love you. 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 Los Angeles. De los. If there is anything you know for certain every day, all the time, let it be that I really, really love you. Thank you so much, you all. Sonia and Matthew. Again, thank you, Delos, for platforming poetry in the way you did. We're going to take a picture and then we'll be out of your way.
Really royally welcome. Please put your hands together.
Taking some time out of the day to join us in this conversation. Yeah, August. Cool. So we're here to talk about your book, Devout, which is a story of a lot of her truest self, and let's get into all of it. So I got to start, like,